Hello everybody and welcome once again to the Legion Beta. I previously recorded a video on the Havoc Demon Hunter, and since then that video became so horribly outdated and the information was so incorrect, I decided to take the video down and make a new one to help out people who might not be fully understanding the Demon Hunter as it currently is, or perhaps looking forward to Legion for more information on how it plays out at 110 when you actually have the talents. So having the talents is a huge deal because it actually changes your playstyle quite drastically. For those of you on live that are using Fell Rush, good job, you're doing it correctly because Fell Rush is a great ability. It's not meant to be used for movement when you're actually fighting things, you're meant to be using it for damage because it hits really hard, and scales with your mastery as well as your agility, crit and all your other nonsense. So if you're already using Fell Rush in part of your rotation, then you're on the right track because the best spec currently DPS wise is this, and it uses Fell Rush a lot. The reason for that is because of momentum. Fell Rush and Vengeful Retreat increase damage done by 20% for 4 seconds. Now for those of you who are maybe using Vengeful Retreat and then instantly Fell Rushing in, you're going to have to change that up a little bit because you don't want to overwrite this buff. It doesn't extend the duration or stack, it actually overwrites it. So you may need to change things around a little bit. Getting 20% extra damage on all your abilities is awesome. It lasts for 3 global cooldowns, so you have 3 abilities you can use within this time, provided they're not channeled. Obviously Fell Barrage and I-Beam, which I'll show you soon, are channeled abilities and you may want to change things up a little bit there. To further augment momentum, you take Prepared, which takes 10 seconds off the cooldown on Vengeful Retreat and makes it generate some Fury. This ability is most of the time pretty bad, unless you're doing momentum, where it becomes actually really good. And Fell Mastery just increases Fell Rush damage, and it also makes it generate Fury. Great. Like, 9 times out of 10, this is the go-to on this row anyway, and this just further reinforces it with momentum. So what else do you take besides these three talents? You take Soul Rending because honestly, why wouldn't you? Netherwalk potentially has its place for cheesy mechanics, but we can see that play out later down the line. Bloodlet. Now this adds Throwglaive to your rotation every 10 seconds, give or take, and it causes it to do a bleed effect for 200% of the initial damage it inflicts. The reason that this is really good is because it actually out DPS's the other 2 choices, and it's something to manage, and it does continuous damage, and you can further buff both the bleed and the initial damage by momentum. Moving further down onto the 108 talents, I take Unleashed Power most of the time simply because the other 2 don't really hold their own that well. Ever since the nerf to Demon Reborn, where it no longer resets either Nemesis or Chaos Blades, or most of your other stuff in fact, it only does I-Beam, Chaos Nova and Flare now, it just isn't really all that good. It really isn't. I mean, invoking Metamorphosis in the first place lasts for 30 seconds, and you're not going to be using I-Beam during that time because you've got Annihilation available, which means you're only going to be waiting 15 seconds for I-Beam anyway, so it's just a bit, what's the point? Master of the Glaive, however, can have its place, because you're using Bloodlet. Having 2 charges on this can, it does a bit better just to safeguard if you're not using it on cooldown, because there are reasons that you might not be using it on cooldown, and that is because maybe you've not got Fell Rush ready, or you're pooling Fury, and you don't have, because you want to be using your Throwglaive during the momentum buff, and that's the only reason that you delay that. On to the 110. Are you doing single target? Answer is yes, pick Chaos Blades. Are you doing it AoE? If answer is yes, pick Fell Barrage. And that's all the decision making that you really need to do for the 110 tier, because Demonic, although it's really cool, and by far the most interesting, it doesn't hold a candle to the others as far as DPS goes. You'll use it while soloing, you'll use it in PvP, but otherwise you'll be using Fell Barrage and Chaos Blades. Sad to say. Hopefully it gets buffed at some point. After seeing the spec in action, as I said, you want to be using everything that you have during the momentum buff. These are Throwglaive, Fell Barrage, I-Beam, Fury of the Illidari, which is, if you did not know, your artifact ability. You want to be dumping all your Chaos Strikes in there, and all that kind of good stuff. So Always keep an eye on what abilities are ready to use. Keep an eye on your Fury. If it is 25 Fury away from being capped, that is a perfect time to Fell Rush and unleash Hell. And it looks something like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to instantly Fell Rush and open with Throglaive just to get the thing going. And then from that point onwards, I'm going to be trying to use all my abilities on cooldown. So here we go. So we go straight in with that. I'm going to go into I-Beam here by flipping out and using I-Beam. Then I'm going to Fell Rush back in. Unleash a couple of abilities. And along with my Throglaive. Then I'm going to Fell Rush back across, use my Fell Barrage. And then a couple of Chaos Strikes. And then again, Fell Rush is ready. We'll use it now. Throglaive, a couple of Chaos Strikes. And then we'll Vengeful Retreat. If you run to this side, then you don't go that far out of range, so you can actually save some downtime there. I'm going to use my Fury of the Illidari here and then Fell Rush out, so we'll do that there, and then Fell Rush, and then Fell Barrage, and Throglaive. Then that buff ends, we'll backflip, and then get back in there again. Move to the other side, build a bit of Fury first, Fell Rush and then we'll I-Beam. And then we'll Throglaive as soon as that's over. And then we'll Fell Rush back through and unleash the Chaos Strikes. You may be noticing this bar above my resources. That is actually a recard that I made specifically for tracking momentum. Pretty handy to actually have a good visual indicator of when that's ready to go. Backflip out, Throglaive, a couple of Chaos Strikes on my way back through. Spend one, Fell Rush through. Didn't actually move there, which is pretty cool. Chaos Strike, Chaos Strike, Chaos Strike. Throglaive's ready again, so run out, Throglaive. Fell Barrage just came off cooldown, so we'll use that. Got I-Beam ready in a couple of seconds, so I'm just going to pull my Fury a little bit, and then we'll back out. I-Beam, Throglaive, Fell Rush back through. Keep on Chaos Striking. Fury of the Illidari is ready, so we're going to activate that now, so we'll pop that down there. Give it the buff. Chaos Strike, Chaos Strike. Vengeful Retreat out. Throglaive. Back to the Chaos Strikes until the momentum buff wears away, which it just did. The Fell Barrage is ready, so we'll Fell Rush through. Do that. Chaos Strike. And then get one more Fell Rush to get for the Throglaive, and then go back into Chaos Strikes. And this is what it looks like. It takes a while to get used to, but once you are used to it, it does perform pretty well. And because of the bleed and the Fell Barrage, and the fact that Throglaive hits 3 targets, the AoE damage this thing can put out is phenomenal. Especially when you add the Fell Rushes into the mix as well, when he's dashing through 3 targets. And as you can see, I was doing 216k DPS. The other DPS specs, builds for the Havoc Demon Hunter fall behind by a minimum of 15k. A minimum of 15k. It's pretty hefty. The other build, there's a variation on this, which takes Nemesis instead of Momentum, which also then means that you might not take Prepared, because you're not going to be needing to jump out as much, in which case you'll probably take Demonic Appetite, maybe Demon Blades, if you really feel like hacking yourself with boredom. The reason that Nemesis works with this build is because if you can kill something within a period of roughly 1 minute to 1 minute 10, maybe 1 minute 15, then this will outperform Momentum, simply because it is up 100% of the time for that 1 minute. After that 1 minute is up, though, it will fall off until it is ready on cooldown again, because it is a 2 minute cooldown. So although it's going to be up all the time, you can line your burst abilities up in the same way that you can with Momentum. So yeah, that is a variation on this particular build. Something else that I will mention is the survivability build. You might want to call it the Never Die build, honestly, because Demon Hunter survivability is off the charts. Yes, I said it, it's off the charts. I'm not talking about PvP, I'm talking about PvE. And that takes a build looking something like this. And the reason that this never dies is because you have 2 stuns, one of them being on a 40-second cooldown thanks to Unleashed Power, and the other being on a 2-second cooldown and hitting like a freight train. When you factor your stuns into the mix and your Blare ability, which is really good damage reduction and only a 1 minute cooldown, add that to the fact that you're pretty regularly spawning fragments and getting Soul Rending Leech, which also ties in with Demonic, because when your I-Beam finishes dealing damage, you turn it into Meta form, getting that leech for the 5 seconds. So you just rotate your stuns and your defensives and your I-beam, and you just can't die very easily at all. Again, disclaimer, not applying in PvP. I know a lot of people got problems with survivability in PvP, and they are very well founded, and it does need to be addressed. For those who've never seen Demonic in action, I'll just build up some Fury and show you. You literally just turn into full-on meta form after I-beam finishes dealing its damage. And to use this at its maximum efficiency, I'll just turn sound off briefly. You want to pull your Fury to maximum, because when you're in I-beam form you will only have 5 seconds in which to unleash all those annihilations. So you'll do I-beam, and then you'll hit Chaos Strike like a total psycho. If you need to generate some Fury, that's too bad, you'll have to do it in 5 seconds, but 5 seconds of complete chaos. It's very much a good thing. And also, whether you've noticed Fell Eruption, for those who don't like the momentum build, or just don't want to use it, or whatever your reasoning, Fell Eruption doesn't do as well, but that's not to say it's not a good ability, because it hits hard. Watch this. Boom. 676k damage, and it didn't even crit. Yes, it does over 1 million when it crits, it's awesome. That's only against stun immune things though, whether you've noticed. So, yeah, those are the two builds. Also, something quite funky with Fellblade is its interaction with Vengeful Retreat. You can use it and it makes it look a bit like Death from Above if you use Fellblade midway through the backflip, and it looks something like this. And then it goes straight back in and does its damage. Really, really nice little ability. And if you are in PvP and you're not going to be using Vengeful Retreat for any reason, because you will be using Fellblade, simply because the fact it's a gap closer, you can actually apply the 70% 3 seconds slow with the Vengeful Retreat and use Fellblade to get straight back in there on the target. So it does have nice applications. And that is the Havoc Demon Hunter. Just something else that I will mention, and it's to do with artifacts. I-beam, as it currently stands on live, is not worth using single targets. It doesn't do enough damage compared to the Fury cost. It's not worth using, don't use it until you get Anguish of the Deceiver. This makes I-beam worth it on single target, and as such is likely to be the thing that you'll head towards first. But something else cool that I will mention is a Feast on the Souls. Whenever you eat a fragment, which spawn pretty often through Demonic Appetite, or where you kill stuff, it will reduce the cooldown on Chaos Beam, Chaos Nova and I-beam by 5 seconds. So you can actually pull a lot of things and reset I-beam very, very quickly, and it's a lot of fun. So that is Havoc Demon Hunter. I'm trying to keep this video short and not go into too much specifics, but yeah, that's how it currently plays and what is currently the highest DPS build, because I know a lot of people actually care about that, and a variation on it for that is actually fun to use and gives you a lot of survivability. So thanks for watching, and goodbye.